Hey, friends. Was the price of your success you? That's our cheery question for today. And it's one that I had to really look at the answer to that myself because I did pay quite a price, the price of my aliveness for the success that I enjoyed while I was working in the corporate world. So I thought we would talk a little bit about this today because actually the price that you pay for that kind of achievement is more than you probably realize. I know I certainly didn't understand it until I started doing the research that I've been doing lately. So let's just dive right in. I became a professional social worker in 1998, and I had a 12-year career with a corporate entity in a healthcare setting. And I became at the top of the food chain for social workers. I was the director of a $30 million program. I had 200 people working under me, and and I had a six-figure salary. And it doesn't get any bigger or better than that for most social workers. So I had everything that I could possibly want. And yet, especially in those last couple years, I was really having the feeling that I was in the wrong place. And it was a difficult thing because I was secure, I was comfortable, I actually loved the work, and I was really making a difference in the lives of the people that I was serving. And that was the thing that was so important to me is I wanted to make a difference with my life, and I was. But as I've been intimating, it was coming to me at a pretty high price. And then in 2010, I got the news that I was being laid off in a reduction in force. And unfortunately, somebody was handed my job to do on top of their own. So you may have been on that side of a reduction in force in your career and know that you can just go into work one day and have your workload doubled and nobody asks you if you like it or not. You're just expected to carry the load now of two people instead of one. So that can come, and you can pay quite a high price with your aliveness in a situation like that. But for me, it was the opposite. I was really devastated when I was laid off because I loved what I was doing and I felt like I was making a difference, and I wasn't ready to give that up. And the comfort and the security of being in a situation like that, I wasn't ready to give that up either for the uncertainty of what would come next. But after the shock wore off and I started thinking about what am I going to do now, it was definitely possible to go into another corporate job, probably right in the situation that I was already in. I was given a severance package and access to a company that helps people in my circumstances find a new position. So I had everything I needed to just go apply for corporate jobs and move into one. But in my heart, that wasn't what I wanted. I wanted to do what I'm doing now, which is coaching. And so I decided in my innocence that, nah, no problem. I'll just start a coaching practice. I had 6 months severance, so I thought, 6 months I'll be able to just keep right going right on down the road. And it never occurred to me that it wasn't going to unfold like that. So I started out doing the things, and what I didn't know that I didn't know could have filled a dump truck. I mean, 15 years later, I have survived as a coach, but I haven't really been flourishing in terms of um, being having it made and having it be easy. I have had to invest a lot of money and time trying to learn how to be in business for myself. So I'm not saying that this decision to become a coach was easy, but what I am saying is that while I've never felt entirely comfortable as an entrepreneur, I've never had one day, not one day in all these years, that I didn't feel alive. And that's what I really wanted to talk to you about today is if you're paying the price for your comfort and security of you, you may be paying a higher price than you even know. So let's talk about the science because this is not just an emotional price that we're talking about here. There's a significant biological price that you pay to swim with the sharks. You know, I really love that phrase. Somebody wrote a book and named it that quite a few years ago now, but I've always thought that it was really an apt metaphor because the competitive environment that our business world lives in the US is really like shark infested waters. It is dangerous. And in order to survive, there's a set pathway, there are set rules, there's what you do and what you don't do, what you say and what you don't say, who you say it to, when you say it, when you just suck it up. And there's a lot of sucking up going on. You know, people are not necessarily happy or fulfilled in these jobs. And yet they stay because they can't really see what could be on the other side of that. And that's what I want to talk about today. What is the price that you're paying that you don't even know that you're paying? So, one of the worst things, well, I don't know, they're all bad things. There's the price that you pay is there's a lot of facets to it. The worst one, I guess, maybe is that even when you get to the top of those kind of food chains, when you are swimming with the sharks and you become a head shark, if you know what I mean, there's an incredible achievement. You've done something amazing, but there's no sense of victory. I can't tell you how many women I've worked with that tell me I have it all and I feel so empty inside. Why am I so empty inside? And I know now what that emptiness is about. It's not anything to do with the material. Obviously, the material world in those kinds of situations is completely taken care of. Where the emptiness comes from is this deep sense of disconnection from yourself. And so this thought pattern, this mindset that I call the achievement hijacker, that has kept you going for the next thing and the next thing and the next raise and the next position and the next promotion and the next job and the next company, all this next and next and next and more and more and more. That's vicious. It's not even a cycle. It's this endless line that leads to nowhere. Because no matter what you achieve, this feeling of emptiness, it will not go away. It will not go away. And the longer you ignore it, the higher the price that you pay biologically. So let's take up the science next. Here's one of the coolest things. I don't know how much you think about your bones, but you know, you eat a chicken leg or a chicken breast and you end up with this bone and you pitch it in the trash and it's like it's nothing. But guess what, friends? And you know this in a way, our bones are alive. They're alive. We know this because if they break, they can be healed. They will heal themselves. I mean, you don't even do it. You immobilize the break so that it has a chance, but the body itself heals the bone, and the bone, for that reason, the bone has to be, we have to recognize it. It is an alive thing. So this way of surviving as you swim with the sharks, it feels like an emotional armor in a way because you steel yourself against your own feelings of this isn't right, I don't like this isn't how it should be, there's something wrong here, compromises, integrity lapses, all the things that happen in this culture that values competition over integrity. It's got to happen. When people will pay any price to win, then what is the winning? As much as it isn't an achievement, and it is an achievement, and I don't want to take that away from you, to whatever extent that you have climbed that ladder, you have achieved, and you have worked hard for your success, but why is it that you've done all of that and still have this terrible emptiness inside? So back to the bones. The bones have an ability to conduct electricity. They're responsive. And so every time that you deny yourself that little voice inside you that says, no, we should turn left instead of right, and somebody overrules you and says, we're going to the right, that's it on that. And then you let go of your sense of rightness that was over here on the left and you move to the right. And every time you do that, there's a message that goes out, and your bones receive that, and they send out a certain message, and that begins to wire in on a level that's bone deep. Bone deep, that's a powerful phrase. That doesn't mean what's on the surface. Bone deep is deep in there. Bone deep. Your bones are paying a price every time you sell out your integrity. And I know that's hard to hear, but that's not the end. So stick with me. Let's just do a little bit more science here. Another part is the neural pathways that we talk about on a pretty regular basis, and those pathways get lined with this fiber called myelin. And what the myelin does is it makes the messages that go across these pathways lightning fast. So you can be driving along in a good mood, singing with the music in the car, and then somebody cuts in front of you, and believe me, I know people, they don't have any sense of needing any kind of room to spare. It's like inches. If they can fit through a little thing that's an inch extra, they just zoom right through, and the shock to the body, it's like, oh my gosh, I can't believe they did that. And that thing has just gone through your the myelinated neural pathways of danger, and now your whole body is in a reaction to that, and the blood is flowing out of the frontal cortex and down into your limbs so that you can fight or flight. And if it's so bad that you freeze, it's even worse. It's like a shutdown of all the mechanisms. And in either state, this is a biological emergency, and it's very difficult on the body. And unfortunately, so many of us, we live in this condition now. It might be worse, better, and worse at any given time, but this feeling of fear and danger, it's hard to shake it if you let all of your determination of safety come from your circumstances, from your environment. It's very difficult to feel like you're safe in this world, because every day there are new shocks, there are new triggers of appalling, abhorrent behavior by people that we used to look up to, and people are dying that we were close to and that meant so much to us, and institutions that we used to have respect for, we now look at them and we see that they've been run by criminals and people that have no moral character whatsoever. And it is appalling. It is absolutely appalling. And if you let yourself live in that environment, then your body is never going to be 100% into this feeling of safety. And it's that feeling of safety and security, that parasympathetic system that I've talked to you about many times, where all the healing and the regeneration and the vitalization occurs. The aging default is the sympathetic system that's always on edge, hyper vigilant, perfectionist, all those competition type of ideologies that you think you have to employ this to be successful. And then at the same time, having to sell out your own sense of integrity, having to work when you're exhausted, never having enough rest. Even when you sleep, your body is not really peaceful because it's having so much stress piled on. And this condition over time, it results in this feeling of really being cut off. And that's what I describe as this feeling of emptiness and meaninglessness. Is this all there is? How can I have everything that anybody could ever want and feel so empty inside? I talk about Whitney Houston sometimes because she was a recording artist that made music that really brightened up my life for the years that she was working. And I was so devastated when I found out that she was found dead in a bathtub and some sort of drug overdose. I don't know what the particulars were, but she didn't die, in her sleep, but when she was an old woman, nothing like that. And I think she was swimming with the sharks. She was, and what happened to her? The drug addiction. And what was she using drugs for? Because she couldn't cope with this feeling of, I have everything and I'm so empty inside. So, this is a very real problem. And the final science piece is about the DHEA. This is the hormone, the growth hormone that keeps our body revitalizing and youthing itself. I love that youthing phrase. It's produced when our heart is in a state that we've come to call coherence. This is a well-researched phenomena. You can Google it. There's an institute called HeartMath that's done 30 years of research about heart coherence. And it really takes that feeling to emanate from the heart of being safe and secure and everything is fine right now. And that's a state that you can learn to generate even in the worst of times. And it's important to do so because in the worst of times, you need to be resourceful. Aside from being chased by a saber-toothed tiger, which you do need all the blood in your legs and your arms and all of that to run away if that's what your strategy is. But other than that, you need to be able to be in your heart energy to face your life, to face challenges, to overcome obstacles. It's the heart energy that will carry you through from this side of a problem to the solution. And so, this ability to move yourself into heart coherence, this learnable skill, is very important, especially the older that you get. And you know me, I like to talk about the love part. So, it's interesting that the love center and the heart are the same place. That this feeling of deep connection, it comes through the heart. This feeling of warmth, this feeling of resonance with another person. This is all heart energy that creates that. And so this feeling, this ability to live in a state of love, not Hallmark sentimentality, not codependent attachment, but this feeling of the underlying creative energy of all life being what connects me and you. Even though I can't see you, you're seeing me, and I'm projecting out to you this feeling that we're connected, even though we're not in the same time, we're not on this video together. I am projecting out to you my warmth and my love and my caring and my compassion, and it's flooding toward you through this video camera. And I invite you to receive it and to recognize that even though we haven't met, that our ability to be connected doesn't depend on our circumstances. It depends on the awareness that my heart energy and your heart energy are fundamentally the same energy. What beats my heart and breathes my breath is the same energy that is beating your heart and breathing your breath. And that's a connection that we don't have the power to put asunder. It's an eternal connection. And when we begin to be aware of that and live with that energy, then our certainty comes from within. And that's what makes it possible then to move out of a situation that seems secure. You may feel like your job gives you a sense of security, but it's actually, if it's not in your heart to be in that position, it's actually very dangerous for you physically and otherwise. So I want to just draw a quick distinction now between achieving and victory. It would seem you might think that a feeling of victory would come to you through achievement. And I'm not saying that you've never had that experience, maybe you have. But so often, and especially the way that I am talking about achievement, this swimming with the sharks thing, this immersing yourself in shark infested waters and fighting your way to the top and adopting the values of the culture that says competition is king. The achievement that you gain in that milieu, that place in the world, you can achieve there. But it's very difficult to feel victory in that achievement because it's come at the price of your essence, of your living flame, of your connection to your own aliveness. And that's why so often this feeling of achievement is empty. So today our practice is called the Victory Reclamation Practice. And that's a big fancy name to just say, I want you to own your victory. And you don't have to change anything about anything in order to do that, except to recognize that this feeling of disconnection came from choices that you made. But it doesn't have to be that way, and you don't have to change your choices in order to reclaim your connection to who you truly are, to your essence, to your life force, to what I love to call the living flame. So, if it's safe for you to do so, move in front of a mirror so that you can look yourself in the eye. If that's somehow inconvenient, you can do this by imagining looking at yourself in a mirror. And if you're driving, you can imagine it, but don't take your attention too far from the wheel because one of those road rage people might be coming up behind you right now, and you may need to be ready to respond effectively to whatever craziness they might want to do. So let's walk through this together. We're going to be still for just a little while. So look at yourself in the mirror or just close your eyes and see yourself in a mirror. And recognize, I am a woman who has built something real. See her, feel her. Even if you feel her emptiness, don't abandon her, be with her. Put your hand on your heart and breathe into the achievement and think about all that you have done in your career and in your life, with your family, with your community, with your world, and let yourself experience your contribution. Don't let your mind take you down a rabbit hole of the whole sharks thing. We're setting that aside right now, and we're just realizing that everything that you have achieved is your achievement. And you're allowed to be proud of it, and you're allowed to feel good about it. And this emptiness we're going to deal with separately. But just now, allow yourself to enjoy your achievement. Let this achievement land in your body. Let yourself feel the truth of earning this achievement. It belongs to you. It's yours. And remind yourself that you're standing inside a victory. Let your bones receive that. Let your tissues receive that. Let every cell in your body celebrate the victory of your contribution to life, whatever it has been up till now. Send that signal into your body. I have achieved. But in this moment of recognition of this achievement, if that emptiness is poking at you, embrace it inside of the achievement. The achievement is mine, but I belong to me. The choices that I've made to be in the position I'm in today belong to me. I belong to me. And today we're going to let that be enough. This recognition that although you may have felt disconnected from yourself, that you have known an emptiness or a hollowness in your achievement, that this achievement is yours and you are entitled to celebrate it. But at the same time, it's very important to allow yourself to reconnect to that guiding light that's always been with you, whether you have celebrated it and listened to it, or whether you have pushed it down and ignored it, whether life circumstances have just buried it. Sometimes the living flame is buried under betrayals, disappointments, failures. So many things can happen that in the way that we think about what happened, we disconnect from ourselves. But ourselves have never disconnected from us, if you want to think of it that way. That we can bring those two parts of ourself back into relationship and carry forward from this moment on that I belong to me. And whatever choices I take as I go to work tomorrow, I'm going to go and do what I do with myself. And I hope that that gives you strength. I hope that that gives you power. I hope that that gives you encouragement. Because this willingness to come back to self is a willingness to come back into the possibility of heart coherence and deep, deep connection with that sense of aliveness that fills up the empty place. We'll talk more about it in days to come, but let today be a good start. I belong to me. Thanks, friends. See you next time.